Hello, welcome back to Ever17 out of Infinity. I called to you via the intercom on the side of the security office door. It's me, can I come in? After a bit, the door opened. We found her. Hey. Yu was unable to hide her surprise. Sora was right. Strange might have been the word for it. Sora told me to come. Yeah, she said that something was strange and that she wanted me to take a look. I couldn't think of a better way to put it and blurted out the truth. Is this a bad time? Yu slumped her shoulders as if deflated and defeated, and heaved out a sigh. Oops. Alright. I followed you into the room. It smelled like hot coffee. In a corner of the room was an ancient siphon coffee machine percolating up dark liquid. You offered me a chair and I sat down. She turned to the coffee maker to pour coffee. Oh, yeah. What are you up to in here? I asked you this bluntly as I leaned back in the chair. Looking into something? White steam curled into the air from where she was pouring the coffee. Is this something that you have to hide from everyone? I thought it came out a little too accusatory. Maybe I was a little peeved that she was hiding something from us. She turned back toward me with a white cup in each hand. She handed one to me. Thanks. A white cup, white steam. Only the liquid inside was black. LeMu's logo was printed on the cup. You sat down next to me and took a sip of her coffee. Then she gradually started to talk. I nodded. 17 years ago. You said that the last place he was seen was in LeMu, right? Oh, are you investigating that? You nodded and shifted the cup to her other hand. Accident?
私もよくは知らないんだけどね。何しろ当時のニュースを調べてもほとんど何もわからないの。
What do you mean?
事故の原因、具体的な被害状況、その後の経緯、どれも曖昧な報道のされ方で、要するにマスコミも詳しいことは知らなかったんじゃないのかな。何か大きな力で情報が封じられてたってことね。
That's interesting.
17年前の謎に包まれた事故。17年前に行方不明になったお父さん。そしてお父さんは事故の直前までここで働いていた。これらのことから推測できることは。
You think that the accident had something to do with the disappearance of your father?
そういうこと。ここにはレミにはお父さんの痕跡が残ってるはず。そう思って私はやってきた。でも実際に働き出してみるとそんなことを調べる余裕なんてなくて、それどころかレミのデータベースには近づくことすらできなかったの。まあ当たり前なんだけどね。私の考えが甘かったってこと。
The chair squeaked as you slumped back in it. She just stared at the ceiling.
でもね、ついにチャンスが訪れたの。
Opportunity? You don't mean this accident?
そうよ。
You placed the cup next to the console.
私はこうして今レミに触れている。事故が起きたおかげで私は晴れて 目的に近づけるようになったの。まあそのおかげでこうして命の危険にさらされて
I hope this can help you out. You joked as she shrugged her shoulders. You joked as she shrugged her Yep. Got me again. I'll ask you one more time, but did you have to keep it all secret?
だって関係者とはいえ私は何の権限もない1バイトに過ぎないわけで、そんな人間が事故のどさくさに紛れてレミューの機密事項に触れようとしてるんだよ。普通ならこういうのを
A kind of looting, maybe?
そういうこと。これは情報窃盗罪っていう立派な犯罪なの。けど隠しをせるわけなかったんだよね。なんたって空にはレミの動きが手に取るようにわかるわけだから。
I think she would understand. If you explained it to her. Bleh. Bleh. Growled. Okay. You growled as she put the cup to her lips.
どうかな。
I too took a sip of coffee. It was super bitter and super thick. So, did you find anything out?
それがちょっと困ったことになってるのよ。
Yuki? Saying that, you started manipulating the keyboard. One of the monitors on the wall shifted from footage of an observation camera to an image of a computer desktop. In the middle of it, one window was open. You explained as she stared at the screen.
これはね、ネットワークに接続するための認証画面なの。
Authorization screen?
接続しようとしているユーザーがシステム側で許可された人間かどうかを判定する画面ってこと。
I see. I felt like I kind of got it, but not really.
私はこれからレミデータベースの C レベル、要するに機密情報にアクセスしようとしてるの。でもそんな重要なデータを誰それ構わず見ることができたら大変なことになるでしょ。
Okay.
だからこうしてここを覗こうとしてるあなたは誰ですかってコンピュータが聞いてきてるの。
As she spoke, you used the mouse to click on the box for name. Inside the box were written the words Yuki
当
Tanaka.
然私の名前だとアクセスできるわけないから、こうやってアクセス可能な人間の名前を偽って入力するわけね。
Whose name is that?
そんなことは誰だって考えついちゃうよね。
I suppose so.
当然これを作った人だってバカじゃないから、それを防止するために本当に本人かどうか確認する方法が取られてるの。本当にあなたが田中幸恵ならパスワードを言いなさい。
You then used the mouse to circle around that box for password. It was still blank. And what about the password?
それを今考えてるの。わ
What? You don't know it?
からない。
So you haven't looked up anything yet?
調べてないっていうか、調べることができないっていうか。
Yeah, so you're stuck.
これのこと。
You nodded and gave a big sigh. Aw. Oh well. Now what? After a second's pause, you was back tapping on the keyboard. There was nothing for me to do. I just sat there watching you do your thing. The password blank filled in as you typed it. Excuse me. The digits you typed in were blocked out by asterisks so that anybody watching wouldn't know what the word was. You tapped the enter key. Access denied, invalid name or password. So you immediately tapped in another line of letters. Access denied, invalid name or password. Hey, you.
何？
I was just wondering, who is Yuki Tanaka? Looking at the name, I was wondering, is she a relative or
私の
something?
お母さんよ。
Your mom worked here?
働いてるの。現在進行形。
Hey, your mom researches archaeology, right? You said something about it yesterday, I think.
うん。で、
You answered, her eyes still glued to the computer. But archaeology has nothing to do with theme parks, right?
私もそう思う。でも、予算の下りない大学の研究室よりは、レミューの方がはるかに得るものが大きかったんじゃない？
Is LeMu doing some kind of archaeological
少
research?
なくとも、やってるふりだけはしてるみたいね。レムリア大陸の遺跡を調査してるらしいから、20世紀の終わり頃、沖縄の方のどっかで海底遺跡が発見されたでしょ。ライプリヒ製薬はその遺跡こそレムリアが存在したことの証だみたいなことをまことしやかにそれとなくルフしてるの。海底遺跡の発掘調査プロジェクトにも多額の資金を投入してる。何を企んでんだか知らないけどさ。
Your mom was involved in that project too?
詳しいことは知らないけど、そうみたいね。でも多分ふりをしてるだけだと思う。お金だけもらって実際には別のことを研究しちゃってるんだ。
Something else?
昨日も教えたでしょ。第三視点という昔の概念。
Your mom sounds tricky.
悪いお母さんよ。でも気持ちはわからないでもないかな。世界中の海底遺跡を掘り下げたってレムリア大陸の痕跡なんか見つかるわけないんだから。それが不毛だってことはみんな知ってるの。ライプリヒ製薬の偉い人もきっと知ってるの。
Whoa.
なのに研究してるふりだけはしなくちゃいけないの。
I wonder why. It sounds like a waste to me.
さあ、企業の考えることだからお金儲けにつながるんじゃないの？あ、そんなこと私たちに知ることはできないし、別に知りたくもないよ。
It's really something, isn't it? Oh, that's right. I've been meaning to ask you, but what do you mean that your mom is researching the third eye?
要点を簡単にまとめて言っちゃうと、 N 次元上の全体像は N プラス1次元内から俯瞰することによってのみ認識することができる。
Yep. Kind of heard that, I think. Huh? It didn't sound very basic to me. What did she mean?
要するに私たちは4次元的な視覚を得ることで初めてこの世界の全貌が知覚できるのだと。
Okay, fourth dimension now. I had no idea what she was talking about.
まるで第三の目が開眼したかのようにね。
Yu's hands stopped typing there for an instant, and she popped her neck loudly. Her neck. She reached out for a cup and took a sip of coffee. I think yesterday you said something about evolution. About losing that organ thingy on the head,
違う違う、そっちじゃなくて、ここで言う第三の目っていうのは超能力のような力の方。例えるならヒンズー教のシバ神の額にある第三の目、ヨガでいう眉間のチャクラ、アジナーチャクラ、仙道における炭鉱法、密教において弘法大師が室戸岬で治めた空蔵菩薩の文字法、仏教などで言われる天元通。
It's a lot of information. I felt like I was being bombarded with exotic words. The conversation had completely left me behind.
昨日も言ったと思うけど、第三の目が開眼すると真の知恵が湧き、万物を見通すことができるらしいの。そんなものが本当にあるとしたらの話だけどね。
So let's see. That means, in summary, it goes something like this. Your mom is researching an ancient concept called the third eye or third perspective, and once someone has acquired the third eye, they can sense the fourth dimension and see the whole of the world. And that is in line with the legend of the third eye.
まあ、そういうことね。お母さんに言わせれば、第三の目という概念そのものが第三視点の一つだって言いかねないけど。
I don't quite get it. Why would a sense of the fourth dimension allow someone to understand the whole world? Or why is a sense of the fourth dimension necessary? We're seeing the world the way we are right now. I don't get the connection between the third eye or third perspective and the fourth dimension. There are lots of things I didn't get. So confused. The whole concept seemed to be beyond my understanding. Just put all his confusion into words there. You started working again without answering my question. Hey, you. Hey, you. You didn't say anything more. Okay. I said to give up for the time being. I remembered I was still holding the cup. I figured not drinking it would be a waste, so I drank it down. Yuck, this is so bitter. And it was completely cold, too. Just the narrator just tells me you didn't say anything more. Just forces me to not say anything. You muttered this and walked down dejectedly. So you leaned back in the chair and it squeaked. In the end, she hadn't found any new clues. Actually, she hadn't even gotten past the authorization screen. Access denied, invalid name or password. That message had been displayed again and again. It still sat in the middle of the screen. You was really down. So you couldn't get it? The password? Don't you have any ideas? I mean, when somebody sets a password, it is usually a word that has to do with them. A birthday or phone number for something short. Even somebody that wanted to think of something nobody would know would probably come up with a phrase related to their past. I mean, there's almost nobody that uses a meaningless combination of numbers and letters. If they did, they would probably forget it. And if they forget it, then a password is meaningless. If you try it too many times, though, you'll get locked out. You stuck her hands up in the air, signaling her surrender. I know, Sarah could probably do it, right? I remember that Sarah was a top-level hacker. You said that Sarah took first prize in some code-breaking contest, right? I'll bet she'd make a password-breaking program for you. You didn't seem keen on that idea. Why don't you ask her? I thought that maybe she was still concerned about the criminal element of the idea, but you don't mind getting me involved? I suppose. But at this rate, you probably wouldn't find a clue during her lifetime. I wanted to help her out. As a way of thanking her for helping me. You took a piece of paper from atop the console. What's that? Then you saw the password. What? No, first found out. No discs that she could copy it to.
印刷が完了した直
Try to
後、
print it
お
out.
母さんが戻ってきてしまったの。私はトレーにあった用紙を素早く掴むとポケットにねじ込んだ。
Huh? What do you mean? So the paper you have now is the one with the password on it? You held out the paper without saying anything. What's this? You held out the paper. You is her name.
見えるけど、普通のバーコードの規格とは違うみたいだし。
It's got 10 lines?
うん。
What does this have to do with anything?
さあ。
About how many characters were in that password. You said it was in Japanese, right? About how many characters was it?
よく覚えてないけど。
Are these symbols or something?
文字くらいじゃないかな。
Was it all written in Japanese? Any numbers?
確か漢字とひらがなの組み合わせだったと思う。数字やカタカナやアルファベットはなかったはず。
I wonder which end of this is the top.
さあ。
Or could it be written vertically? No way. If you printed out a text file, why would it come out as a
さ
barcode?
あ。
No hints?
ヒント？答えがわからないのにヒントなんか与えられるはずないでしょ。
But you have to remember something, right? Like, did it have to do with food or a person's name? You shook her head and spoke.
見たって言ってもほんの数秒のことなのよ。
But how could you forget something so important?
でも私は少なくとも自分の住所が言える。電話番号も生年月日も社会保障番号も、それから自分の名前だってわかるんだから。大事なことを忘れてるのはどっちなのかしら。
I looked again at the paper we thought contained the password. I was obsessed with solving the puzzle we had found. It was frustrating. Now who was forgetting the important things? What could I say to that? It's not like I wanted to lose my memory. Watch this, I'll remember everything just to show you. But for sure I had to figure this out. I had my mind set on it. I almost felt solving this was excuse me. I almost felt like solving this was a rite of passage that would help restore my memory. I'm kidding. I got it? I don't get it. Could you actually solve this? I'll pick I got it. Could it be? I thought for a second. What if I turn it over? What if I turn it upside down? What if I heat it with a flame? What if I rip it in two? What if I tilt it? What if I wad it up? What if I turn it upside down? I thought maybe I could read something if I turned the paper upside down. I turned it upside down. It was no good. Turning the paper upside down showed nothing new.
わかった？
Yep, I figured out that I can't read it this way.
やっぱり無理なんだよ。私だっていろいろ試したんだからさ。
Let's see. What should I do? What if I turn it over? I thought that if I turned it over, I might be able to read something. I turned the paper over and held it up to the light. I feel like it would have letters. Turning it over showed nothing new. I'll try a couple. What if I rip it in two? Let's try the ones that don't involve ripping it in any way first. I thought that if I tilted it a little, I might be able to see something. Tilt it a little to the side. Tilt it almost completely to the side. Tilt it a little vertically. Tilt it almost completely vertical. Tilt it a little vertically. Nope, nothing yet. It didn't help. Changing the angle showed nothing new. It's no good. Time to give up. Oh.
それを読み解こうなんて最初から無理なんだよ。さてと、私は最後の賭けに出てみるとしますか。
There's still a potential password you haven't tried?
ダメ元で思いつく限りのフレーズを試してみようと思うの。
You stared into the computer monitor. Tried. Access denied, invalid name or password. Things just didn't seem to want to go our way.
こんちき証明。かくなる上はあぶらかたぶら。
Huh? I wonder if it was vertically.
タンタンタヌキのまたき。ベントラベントラスペースピーポー。
Aw. Of course, none of these phrases got her access to the sea-level information. I didn't see why she had to shout all of them out either. I was already at my wit's end and incapable of speech. Just then... The screen went black. What just happened? Did it lock her out?
わからないけど、認証仮面から強制排出されちゃったみたい。
Huh? After a moment, the screen returned to normal. You pecked away at the keyboard and called up the authorization screen again. Access denied. Currently, this name cannot be logged in. Yep. Not good. Not good. The result was the same. What does this mean?
何度もパスワードを間違えたからプロテクトが作動しちゃったんじゃないかな。つまりレミの方からお母さんの名前でのアクセスを完全に遮断されてるってこと。
So...
そう、しばらくの間は諦めるしかないってことね。
You shrugged exaggeratedly. And what was the password that should have been printed on that paper correctly? A Japanese phrase of around 10 syllables. It bothered me to no end and was totally unsatisfying, but for the time being there was no way to do anything more. A while after that, we heard from Takeshi that repairs in the warehouse had been completed with no problems. We finally gathered again in the conference room. We were killing time. We still couldn't think of any way to escape. Still, we didn't want to feel like we were completely wasting our time, so we all decided to wander around LeMu one more time. As we made the rounds, Takeshi said, "What do you think the record is for running from one end of LeMu to the other? I think we should try to give the chicken sandwiches a completely new flavor somehow." He made a number of stupid comments. We all, with the exception of Sugumi, of course, was half exasperated and half interested. We all knew. As long as we were doing something, it kept our minds off things we couldn't change, like about how there was no way out or remembering where we were. We decided to meet at 8 p.m. for dinner. Everyone was left to wander around freely until then. I decided to help you try to repair their infirmary scanning machine. Of course, it was kind of an indirect thank you to her for looking after me when I was feeling down 2 days before. You plopped down on the floor with the tools and parts, spreading out the repair manual. Of course, the repairs were a huge job. I was just there to help. I was getting used to handing her the tools and was getting her better at predicting which tool would be used next. I thought that if there were an exam for expertise in handing pliers or screws, I would pass with flying colors. But the repairs were tougher than I imagined. You grunted as she stared at the diagram. You still haven't figured it out? Yeah. She searched all over, but couldn't find the cause of the problem. You said everything looked normal. In other words, there was no sign of anything broken. All of a sudden, you lost your cool, pounded on the diagram, and kicked the toolbox. Hey, that's not very grown up of you. You know, you could ask Sora about how to fix it later. You want to clean up for now?
すまんです。
あれ、二人ともこんなとこにいたのか。
Oh, hey Takeshi.
裏なりこそこんなところになんのよ。
俺は単なる野暮用だよ。目の覚める薬でももらおうかと思ってね。そういうユウは少年と何やってるんだ？
見てわかんないの？
わかんねえから聞いてんの。
Takeshi, do you think you could lend us a hand?
ああ、別に構わないぜ。落ちてるものを拾えばいいのか？
Yeah. We split up and started picking up the tools strewn around the room. Screwdrivers and screws had fallen all the way to the walls.
これで全部かな。
No, there's one more right there. There was something in the corner.
よっと。なんだこれ。
Takeshi picked up something that looked like an electric plug. No, it was an electric plug. The cable continued, disappearing under the floor. It was embedded there.
どれの電源だろうな、これ。
In the wall was an outlet, the same as in the home. Takeshi stuck the plug into the wall. Hey, something is moving.
なんだ、あの機械の電源だったのか。
Which means...
そういうことみたいよ。
なあ、ところでよ。
Takeshi sought to question at me and you, who were
何やって
speechless.
たんだっけ、お前ら。
Just then, somebody else appeared. It was Tsugumi. But when she saw us, she clicked her tongue in an irritated way, turned to leave the room. The door opened again immediately. This time it was Sarah. It could have been my imagination, but she looked kind of angry about something. Sarah stood her ground, blocking the exit so that Tsugumi couldn't leave.
逃げてばかりいないで答えてよ。
どきなさい。
答えてってば。
It seemed like the two of them were fighting, but I wonder why. I couldn't think of any reason for the two of them would want to fight.
そんなに大声出したらあの三人に聞こえるわよ。
別に構わないでしょ。
おい、二人ともどうしたんだよ。
Takeshi asked this as he approached them.
それはこっちが聞きたいわね。
Tsugumi said this mixed with a sigh, and then she gave Takeshi the evil eye.
あなたたち一体何を企んでいるの？
何
What's
を。
happening?
それこそなんだよ。意味わかんねえこと言うなよ。
どうしたの？マヨ。
You said it as if to calm Sarah's nerves. She still looked pretty riled up. She was staring at Tsugumi bitterly. Tsugumi. For an instant I thought that Tsugumi drew up her face up sadly.
どきなさい。
As she turned around, Tsugumi tried to push Sora out of the way. Sarah out of the way. Sarah resisted.
そうやってあの人から逃
No.
げたんだ。
Sarah said that as the two of them wrestled. Tsugumi stopped moving.
やっぱりそうなんだ。
Sarah crossed her arms tightly.
最低。
What?
最低だ。この人でだし。
Tsugumi lifted up her right hand as if to hit Sarah, but Takeshi grabbed her hand.
おい、落ち着けって。
Sarah didn't miss her chance. No. No, what? What was that for? Sarah's open palm echoed on Tsugumi's cheek. The raging Tsugumi threw off Takeshi and stole from Sarah whatever she was holding. She went to throw whatever she had against the wall. but she stopped an instant before.
やめろ
I guess she went to grab her arm. Tsugumi's arm went slack and something slipped to the floor. It clattered loudly. Something glittered as it bounced. It looked like a pendant. Sarah scooped the pendant as if she were picking up a fragile piece of ice. Yep. Sarah's back quivered tensely. Sarah looked down, dropping her head. Then she squeezed her fist around the pendant.
Mayo?
You said it softly, but Sarah didn't appear to hear. Sarah lifted her face, pendant. Biting her lips, she glared at Tsugumi. Both of her eyes were welling up with tears. Tsugumi stared coldly at Sarah, as if looking down at her from above. Sarah withstood the glare and stared back at Tsugumi in rage. She continued to resist silently, trying not to shed tears, not to sob. The scene was just like... how to put it? It was like the emotion that was about to explode to the surface had sunk away to nothingness. The next thing I knew, Tsugumi had turned to leave the room. Sarah still focused her glare on Tsugumi. I looked back and forth between the two of them. Finally, I let my eyes trail off after Tsugumi. Yu was there to help Sarah. But first I wanted to find out what the fight was all about. I ran out of the infirmary and called out to Tsugumi. Hey, Tsugumi! But she ignored me and headed for the corridor. Why does it always turn out like this? Even if I was tired of everything, I had no choice but to chase after her. Hey, wait! She shot me a glance but did not slow her stop. I said wait! I caught up to her and grabbed her arm, trying to stop her, but she shook off my hand. Yeah. Sorry. Then Tsugumi started walking again as if nothing had happened. Still, I continued after her without giving up. I started talking to her as I walked next to her, peering at her face. Why are you fighting with Sarah? Tsugumi answered without looking at me, letting me know my questions were unwanted. How can this not concern me? I thought I had said enough. It really probably doesn't have anything to do with me. I don't have any right to go involving myself in people's private affairs, but still... What? Tsugumi strode away. I stood stunned for a moment. I soon pulled myself together and started after her again. No matter how much I called out to her, Tsugumi didn't respond. At last I caught up with her again. We were at the gate for boarding the jellyfish gondola. Finally, Tsugumi pulled up there. And it didn't look as though she had stopped there with any intention of riding the gondola, but it didn't look like she was going to move elsewhere either, or even sit down for that matter. Her eyes were just trained on the half-transparent gondola, which was partially visible beyond the gate. Hey. It looked like she was completely ignoring me. You don't have to respond, just listen to what I'm going to say. I won't ask you to trust us anymore. But that doesn't mean that you have to fight with anyone. We're all in the same situation here. We have to help each other. Tsugumi turned and faced me. Don't joke around. I figured that I should take the fact that she responded to me as a slight change in attitude. I shot her another question. Why do you think we're your enemies? What reason could he possibly have?
I
don't get you. What exactly is suspicious? The same as what before? I don't know what she's talking about. You mean to tell me you've experienced the same thing as this before? Tsugumi stared at me intensely. I took her look as a yes. In that case, I wondered if the same held true for me. So that means you can foresee what is going to happen, right? I'm right, aren't I? So it's not just me then. But then how come I can see into the future all of a sudden? What? See into the future? See the future? No, the feeling I had was less one of seeing it, more like knowing the future, possibly having experienced it before. Did I know it? Had I experienced it? Why? That was, well, some future stuff is happening because the same thing was happening again. That's it. You and I must have traveled to the past, Tsugumi.
Time slip?
Yup. Ooh, the theory I had hit upon excited me. I was sure. It almost had to be. I had the same sense. I know the future. Back at the generator room, I knew that the room had built up heat. And take this morning, I had a feeling that there would be trouble in the warehouse. And when I first met Sarah, I felt like I had experienced something like it before. I think I've probably experienced the same thing in my past. Tsugumi just stared at me. I could clearly see that she was flustered. Hey, tell me your story. When I asked Tsugumi that, it was as if she snapped back to reality, her expression and the look in her eyes back to normal.
あなたに話を冗談でしょ。あなたが奴らの仲間かもしれない以上、あなたに手の内を明かすようなことなんてできないわね。
I felt dejected, like I had finally found someone that could share my feelings but wouldn't.
いいこと。前にも言ったけど、これ以上奴らには関わらない方が身のためよ。もちろん、私にも。
Why?
あなた、やけに理由にこだわるのよ。理由なんてどうでもいいの。
She crossed her arms and said this forcefully.
でも、あえて理由があるとしても、それがあなた自身にとって最もいい結果をもたらすからよ。例えば、あなたの記憶喪失だって奴らの仕業かもしれないの。
Huh? That was a shocking idea. Her words just about stopped my heart for a moment. What? There's no way. I had never even entertained that idea. Tsugumi turned to walk away from me, ignoring me in my state of confusion. Dismayed confusion. I didn't have any power to chase after. Left to chase after her.
そうだ。それともう一つ。おしゃべりついでに、私もその未来予知とやらをしてあげましょうか。
I slowly lifted up my face and looked at Tsugumi. She looked serious all of a sudden. Tsugumi predicted that.
このまま奴らに利用され続ければ、7日にあなたは死ぬの。
Yeah, I trudged along looking down. Yeah, but that's when we're supposed to die. The light reflected cold and hard off the walls and floor. Tsugumi's words echoed in my mind. Tsugumi said not to trust Takeshi, you, and the others. That my lost memory was their fault as well. That their behavior was suspect. But I wondered if that could really be true. I didn't see how it could be. They all seemed trustworthy to me. The type of people you could really depend on. I'd only spent a few days with them, but I was sure. Besides, even if she were right, there were lots of things that were inexplicable. If Takeshi and the others were scheming something, if they were trying to deceive Tsugumi and me, then it should be visible in their words and actions. There was no way that normal people could put on an act as elaborate as this. If one or two were trying to lie, it might be possible, but even with my memory impaired, I would still be able to tell if they were all trying to do it. It seemed that you, Sarah, and everyone were reacting naturally, as one might expect in each situation, so it didn't seem possible. It wasn't possible. The most impossible thing to explain was why cause this accident? Why lie to Tsugumi and me? There was no reason, and it would have been impossible anyway. I wondered if I were going to die. That was stupid. If that was the case, we would have to be smart to help each other more than ever. The problem is probably with Tsugumi. That was what I thought. Where is this going? Maybe she had some grudge against Takeshi and the others from before, or maybe she was imagining everything and just paranoid. Or maybe she was trying to make me paranoid about the others and draw us into conflict, or something else. No, I had to stop this. It was too crazy. If nothing else, this was all just my imagination working overtime and nothing but paranoia. It had to be that the difficulty of the situation was putting incredible mental strain on everyone. I wanted to trust everyone and to be trusted. So I would continue to treat everyone as I had up until then. That's what I decided. Rather than worrying about who to trust, we needed to worry about how something like this could have happened. If we knew the cause, we might be able to figure out a way out. I remember that Tsugumi had something else. I don't not want to trust these people, though. They seem so nice. I wondered about my ability to foresee events. Was I repeating the past? I wonder if I really did travel in time. Finally, I arrived back at the infirmary, but there was no longer anyone there. Where did everybody go? Maybe they're in the conference room? Hey, Sora! I called out to her through the microphones in the room, but there was no reply. Sora had said that the complex of sensors were not yet functioning everywhere. I figured that I'd just have to go searching myself. I sighed and headed out into the corridor. Oh, that's right. I had an idea. The security office was nearby. I could use the observation monitors there. I might be able to see what was going on, and maybe find out where everyone was. So I made for the security office. When I entered the office, I saw you. She was slouching loosely in a chair. You, what are you doing here? You swiveled her neck around and greeted me. She couldn't be bothered to shift her body. Where's everybody else? What happened to Sarah? You straightened up. She added that Sarah said she wanted to be alone, so I best not bother her. I see. What about Takeshi? Huh? Beer and LeMu? You shrugged as if to say, who knows? Not good. She wouldn't listen. She just took off somewhere. I decided not to say anything about Tsugumi's silly suspicions. So what are you doing here, you? You can't access the database for a while, right? You went back to typing on the keyboard. The images on the monitors changed again and again. Takeshi appeared in one of them. Hey, that's Takeshi. Is that the rest area? I wonder what he is doing. Takeshi was sitting on a bench. He had a can of beer in his hand. As you had said, it looked like he was having a drink. So there really is beer here. Thinking about it, I realized that Takeshi knew the kiosk's freezers by heart now. Maybe it was something that an employee or someone had sneaked in. Maybe what I didn't understand was why there was one more beer. Or I should say that the can was opened and sitting next to Takeshi. It'll get flat if you leave it like that. Of course, there was no one there. Takeshi lifted his can in the direction of the can next to him and muttered something, but we couldn't hear the what. I wondered if he was drunk. He looked dangerous. You punched some keys and switched to a less unsightly scene. You jumped out of her chair and headed for the coffee machine. I want one too. Where's the sugar and milk? I can drink however I want, can't I?
に入ってたと思うけど。
I took the sugar pot and milk bottle out from the drawer.
コーヒーは苦いからコーヒーなのよ。
You said this as she poured coffee into our cups.
不純物を入れたコーヒーなんて福神漬けのついたインドカレーみたいなものね。まあ君もいずれわかる時が来るよ。はいどうぞ。熱いですよ。
Yeah. Oh, shut up. I dribbled a little milk into the cup that she gave me. I went to add sugar, but there was no spoon, so I decided to pour from the sugar bowl. You know that black coffee is bad for your stomach, right?
そんなのは100も承知よ。体に悪いからってこの世界から喫煙者はいなくならないでしょ。
Besides, when you are tired, sweet things give you a surge of energy. I was in an argumentative mode. But then my hand slipped and sugar went cascading into my cup. Oh no.
これで明日の疲れまで吹き飛ぶってものね。
Cascading. I was thinking.
何を？
I didn't tell you?
だってあまりにもくだらないんだもん。
You said that and sipped her coffee indifferently. What I said is that I can sense the future. I decided to tell you about my theory. I really wanted to hear what she thought. I mean, yesterday in the generator room, the trouble this morning with Takeshi, and when I first met Sarah, I guess,
そんな
yeah.
のただのデジャブでしょ。
Deja vu?
既視感とも言ってね。一度も経験したことのないことがいつかどこかですでに経験したことであるかのように感じられること。でもね、それは深層心理の中の似たような記憶がそう感じさせるだけで、要するにただの錯覚なの。
It's not. This wasn't like that. I think I've experienced the same kind of thing in the past.
結局のところ何が言いたいわけ？
I think that maybe I traveled through time. And that I came back here to the past from the future. I think it helps to explain my lost memories somehow.
で、その説明っていうのは？
Yeah, that's hard to explain, but
君の思考回路は一体どうなってるわけ？どこをどうひねくり回すとタイムスリップなんて考え方が出てくるのよ。それとも君、未だに天動説を信じてる派？
but right now this is...
OK、
You held her palm out at me like a traffic cop.
100歩譲って、万歩譲ってタイムスリップしたとしてもよ。それと記憶を失ったことにどんなつながりがあるっていうの？全くもって意味不明だよ。いい？この世にはタイムスリップなんて存在しないの。論理的にも科学的にも不可能なの。
I decided to drink my coffee. It was so sweet that it made me almost want to vomit.
水が高いところから低いところに向かって流れるように、時間は過去から未来へ向かって流れるのよ。川の流れと同じ。絶対不可逆なの。
But... I groaned, but I wasn't giving in without a fight. Are you sure? Water doesn't always flow down, does it?
今度は反重力物質がなんたらかんたらとか言い出すつもり？もしくは宇宙空間は真空ではなくエーテルの満ちた空間でとか？
That's not what I mean. It's not like that. What I mean is... I looked around the room. There had to be something to convince you, like my eyes stopped on the coffee machine. The water in the lower container is boiling, warmed by the flame with the alcohol in. That water was pushed by the pressure of the steam through a pipe in the center and percolated into the pot. This is it. Look, water doesn't always flow down, see? You didn't say anything, she simply looked at the gurgling water. Hey, are you listening?
これだ！
You suddenly stood up shouting. Ow, ouch! You bumped my arm and spilled my coffee everywhere. I got on my arm in her coat. But you ignored it, handed her cup to me, and went bursting out of the room. She shot out of there like a rocket. I quickly put the cups down and went after her. You was heading to the west. She climbed the emergency corridor and ran down the spiral staircase. When I finally caught up with her, I found myself in the central control room. You and I dashed into the room. There was Sora. She was in front of the console with both hands together. She was quiet, her eyes closed. It was like she were meditating. The LED of computers in the room were responding and flickering. But when Sora noticed our presence, she opened her eyes and smiled.
どうしました、田中さん。少年さんの脱出方法が見つかったのよ。
You shouted in between breaths. What?
脱出方法？
Oh. Really? You did? Are you alright?
大丈夫。少し休めば治るから。
You put her hand on her chest as she breathed deeply, trying to catch her breath. Then...
ねえソラ、私たちがここから脱出できないのはなぜ？
Stupid, it's because LeMu is flooded with water.
いいから君は黙ってて。ソラ、答えて。
少年さんのおっしゃったように例の大浸水が原因です。それによって地上エンゼルヌルまで登ることのできる非常階段およびエレベーターは完全に浸水してしまいました。イコール脱出路が閉ざされたということです。
オッケー。つまりレミューを満たしている道さえ何とかすれば私たちは脱出できるわけね。
はい。しかし館内に無事残されているわずかな排水ポンプだけでは排水が間に合わず。
大丈夫よ。
You stopped Sora at that point.
確か地上の浮島には高圧送風機があったはずよね。
A high pressure fan?
館内の気圧を高めるために地上から高圧混合ガスを送り込む装置のこと。
はい、おっしゃる通りです。
だったらその高圧送風機を動かして内部に高圧ガスを送り込むことができれば圧力によって水が排水されるんじゃないの？
Well, you can do
水
that.
の中に沈めたストローに息を吹き込めば中の水はストローから出てくるでしょ。
Oh, I get it.
理論上は可能です。
Ooh, okay.
でしょ？だったら
そして、
Huh.
私も最初に検討した手段の一つです。つまり、残念ながらそれは不可能なのです。
どうして？
送風機はここからでは動かすことができません。エレベーターが動かなくなったのと同じ理由で原因は不明です。誠に残念なことです。
Aw. Yu's shoulders slumped dejectedly. You. I put my hand on Yu's back. She turned and smiled an empty smile. Oh man.
いいアイデアだと思ったんだけどな。
You tried.
もう一度最初から考え直すとしますか。
But her words sounded empty of the spark she'd shown earlier. Only then did you finally notice the coffee stains.
何よ
Oh.
これ。
Oh.
更衣室の隣にランドリーがありますから、そこで洗濯をなさってはいかがでしょう。幸い服の着替えはあることですし。
そうだね。
You took an area of her coat that was stained black and held it to her nose.
砂糖臭い。
You mean it smells like coffee? That was what I wanted to say, but I just spilled it out of my tongue. Aw, almost. It was a new day. You said she was going to change clothes and had gone up to the second floor. Sora went back to work. So Sarah, she was probably sleeping in the compression chamber. I guess she was supposedly filthy drunk in the park rest area. Segumi hadn't come back. I had no idea where she'd gone. Oh, we almost got out. She tried. I'll give her that. Bye!